Hey, what's up, guys? So this is basically coloring the crazies that you saw me in the previous episode illustrate. So this is a scene where um, they're departing the bus, um, and they're on the here. They're still on the planet elsewhere. So the crazies currently, we just launched our Kickstarter for issue number 2. So and it is the second day of the Kickstarter. So, if you're watching this, please go over to our Kickstarter and pledging your support. It would be much appreciated to help get issue 2 into the printer's hands and into the backer's hands. So, basically, I have a character sheet with all the characters and their specific colors. So, what I'm doing is going back and forth between the character sheet to make sure that I'm keeping the colors on each page consistent with the original colors that we selected when we created the crazies. So right now I am putting on the colors and right now it's just flats. So I'm just applying flats to all the characters. So I did crazy flats. I'm doing ultra crazies flats right now. And now I'm going into super crazy. And I really do enjoy drawing this series. It's issue 1. If you haven't seen issue 1 yet, it will be available soon on Indie Planet. But issue 1, we don't see any of the crazies just yet. Issue 1 is basically Sam and George. Sam has left the comic book industry for many years, working a 9 to 5, not really happy with his life and the outcome. His heart belongs in comics and creating, so he misses it. And George stood in the comic game, even though Sam left. But George has not seen the results that he wants. He doesn't feel that he's making any traction or improvement, and he feels like there's something missing. So in issue 1, George and Sam reconnect, and the goal was to start Catch the Craze again, which was the podcast that when they were working together at one point was a very popular podcast, and it was in the beginning of podcasting when it wasn't as widespread as it is now, and the competition wasn't the way it is now. Most people didn't understand podcasting. And so they Catch the Craze in the early days had a lot of success. So now these guys get together. So now issue 2, which is currently on Kickstarter, they're realizing that they're not going to have it as easy as they did back then when there wasn't much of a competition. Because now they're little guppies in this big ocean, and they're trying to make headway and make some sort of progress, but they're not. They keep running into a wall each and every time. Compounded by the fact that they're being harassed by a group of podcasters that basically capitalize on their name, Catch the Craze, and they call themselves We Are the Craze. So. And it's 3 guys, and they like to call George and Sam names and make fun of them, and so that's getting under Sam's skin. So in issue 2, if you watch the animated trailer that we did in issue 2, basically Sam goes out into the woods, shouts out to the universe, help us become the best #1 podcast in the universe. And the old adage is, be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it. And hence, that's what happens in the end of issue number 2. Things happen. So basically, this is the crazy man. It's Sam's alter ego, supernatural being, and he's got that 70s disco vibe going on. So I'm just applying the colors, the flats to him as well. I wasn't intending on finishing. Today I was just going to do the flats and then do the tones at another time. But I wound up finishing it anyway. So I don't have all the crazies in this scene. I have crazy, ultra crazy, extreme crazy, and super crazy. So I'm missing in this one psycho and hyper. And I was gonna add them, and I don't know why I did not add them. So this here is the bus that I'm just. Oh, you know what I noticed? I'm doing the bus, but I forgot one thing on the bus. Anyways, too late for that. But this is the bus. This is the Shagadelic Shagmobile bus. Not the shag as in that stuff, but it's like the crazy man wanted something that was retro, vintage, because he believes that he is fitting in on Earth because he's not from Earth, and the way to fit in is that 70s vibe, which he's so enamored by, but he doesn't fit in. So yeah, basically what I'm doing is just going back and forth. So I did if you watch the previous shows, I illustrated the bus from start to finish. And so I have the colored guide for that. So I have it on the other page. I'm using, if you're wondering what I'm using right now, I'm using Affinity Photo. And the reason why I decided to start using Affinity Photo is because I really got tired of every time Apple decided to upgrade the iOS, the operating system, it would previous versions of software like Photoshop would no longer work, and forcing you to go and buy a newer version of Photoshop or buying a subscription. And so they all have a racket going on, and so I don't have deep pockets, so I decided, hey, you know what? For $50, I'll get Affinity Photo, and it allows me to do the same things. The only thing I don't like about this program is that although it does import PSDs from Photoshop, it doesn't recognize the text. And I followed all the instructions that they asked me to when importing a PSD file, and it still does not recognize the text. It makes it an image file. So if you're like me, I lettered a lot of my comic books in Photoshop. If I'm trying to go back and edit, I can't do it in Affinity Photo. I'd have to redo the whole thing, which sucks. So now I'm adding the tones. So I'm playing with his shades. I already did his hoodie. Keeping it simple, just a couple of different tones per character. So if, like for instance, his face is yellow, so I did a darker, like an orangey yellow. I did a darker tone just to add some shading, and then I did some white to add some light. Same thing with Crazy right now. So I'm adding some shading, and then I'm adding a little light based on the direction the light's coming from. So I am not a colorist by nature. I don't like to color, but I'm forcing myself to learn because I want to get better at it, and I can't afford to keep hiring people to color my stuff. So now that I'm unemployed and a starving artist, I have to teach myself or force myself to learn the things that I don't like to do, and coloring was one of them. So this is me playing with colors. And so yeah, this is the crazy. He is the guy. He is the boss. he's the one that sets it off, and everybody follows him. And he is manipulative. He is self-destructive. Um, he is self-absorbed. He wants power, and he loves playing mind games. And the crew will follow him anywhere because they believe his stuff. And this is extreme. She's an adolescent. She acts like an adolescent. Everything's a dolly to her. She wants to bop everything. She wants to wreak havoc. She wants to play with her toys. She's adorable, but she's a menace. And don't turn your back, because if you do, you're gonna get whacked. So her big Teddy is super crazy. Super crazy is very protective of extreme crazy, and she looks at him as her big brother, her guardian, and he's taking on the role to protect her and look after her. And this is basically, I'm just doing her hair, just adding different layers of strains of colors in her hair. It's kind of wild, like she is. Pretty simple. The coloring is not as complex as I am coloring it. It just takes time. So to do this page was about 4 hours of coloring. Yeah, about 4 hours. I believe so. And it's because this is on fast mode, but I would apply a color or apply a stroke and I didn't like the stroke, and I would remove it. Everything's in its own layer, so I have the flats on their own layers. So like for the crazy man, his blue jeans are in one layer. That's my dogs in the background acting up again. On one layer, then his shirt is on another layer. Then when I apply the tones, they're on separate layers as well. It allows me to, if I didn't like something the way it came out, I just delete it. Delete the layer and start over. I tend to do that a lot. So here I'm just doing his shades. He's cool like that. Hey. My dogs. Always acting up. Unfortunately, I have to have them in my office and my studio because they'll scratch at the door. I'm like, yo, what are you doing? We need to be in there with you. Why are you not letting us in? And so they act up. So now the final character is super crazy. I'm applying his tones to him. As we're getting close to the end, he's the guy. He's all brawn. He's gonna knock stuff out, and he's gonna wreak havoc. And don't sleep on this guy. But yeah, I like him so much. The two I don't have in here are Psycho Crazy, which he is also off the chain. He is pretty awesome. He has bats that he uses and as his army of bats, and he throws them at you and summons them to get you. And Hyper Crazy, she is definitely someone you don't want to cross. She's very conniving. She knows how to get what she wants. Definitely a solid member of this team. Once they get to Earth, it's on. No holds barred. These guys are gonna just bust things up. But again, I do have a Kickstarter. If you enjoy what I'm doing, please support our Kickstarter. We have so many levels and so many reward levels. And there's some levels where you get sketch cards from me. I also do commissions. So if you're interested in my style of art and you want to commission me to do something, just send me an email at contact@catchthecraze.com, and it's craze.com. I am open to commissions as well. And Yeah, also visit my website, crazycomics.com, and you'll see all the other comic books and children's books that I've created, or that are in development, or that are already done, available. Most of my stuff are available as ebooks on Amazon and Barnes and Nobles, so you can buy it at any time. And this is it. This is the finished piece. Thank you all for watching.